Hello, in this short video I want to talk about what's been included in the 051 release of Chocolatey Central Management. So this is a bug fix release for an issue that was reported by one of our customers wherein some messages that are being reported in from Chocolatey agents when a deployment has occurred weren't being processed correctly. So let's dig in a little bit. So what was happening is that with the new message processing that was released with the 050 release of Chocolatey Central Management, what happens is that any incoming reports from deployment activity come into this folder within C, by default, C program data, Chocolatey services, deployment step result messages. Now, what was happening is that these messages were not being processed. So CCM was attempting to process them, it wasn't able to, and then they got left in this folder. So essentially, this was a poison queue message where it wasn't able to process it, but it wouldn't get rid of it in case there was information in there that could be modified, changed, adapted to make it process it correctly. So if we drill into this problematic file as an example, what we'll see is that there's these strange characters contained within what is the log section of the message. So essentially what this is the excerpt of the Chocolatey log from the deployment activity that's happened on the client machine. So in this case, it was attempting to uninstall Microsoft Teams, and the MSI that's being used here is actually incorrectly encoding this string that is being written to the log file. The suspicion is that there's some encoding difference between the machine it was running on and what's being output by the MSI. So what ends up in the Chocolatey log file is essentially corrupt data. Now, the way that manifests itself is that as soon as we then try to serialize that log file into an XML file, it's able to write that file, and that's what this file is. But as soon as it attempts to deserialize it, it isn't able to because of these, what are essentially invalid characters in the XML. So there's little to nothing that Chocolatey can do from this point of view, because Chocolatey is grabbing the log from running MSI exec, and the MSI is writing incorrectly encoded data to the output stream, and Chocolatey is capturing that, and then that's going all the way from Chocolatey via Chocolatey agent into Chocolatey Central Management. So there's very little that we can do to fix the encoding issue, but what we have done within CCM is that we will now be wrapping the log element within a C data tag. So basically, it will then be able to process the XML message correctly, but that message will still contain incorrectly encoded data, which manifests itself like this, which is unfortunate, but really the only real fix is to go back to the MSI in question and have the vendor of that application fix the problem. So it's not the fix I would have liked to have put in play, but it is a fix that will allow, on these edge cases where there is essentially invalid characters in the XML file, we'll still be able to process the XML file and complete the deployments. Because what was happening and what was reported was that a deployment was started, it was picked up by the agents, it was processed on the client machines, but that deployment never completed. And that's because these messages were never being processed. So the workaround before 051 is that in theory, you could come into an XML file that's in the messages folder. You could correct or remove the invalid characters, and then that would allow the messages to be processed by CCM. But going forward, we will be wrapping this log element, in a C data tag, which should protect it from these situations happening again. So hopefully that makes sense. If there are any questions, feel free to reach out to support, and we will do our best to help you with that. Thank you very much.